What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name is Kyle. Happy Monday. Happy Thanksgiving week to everybody. This is going to be the post-game notes video from week 12, where we review the snap counts, the routes run, and the fantasy numbers from all the games this weekend. This is usually a video that I put out for members of the fantasyfellowship.com. So I'm gonna do the whole thing for free this time. So we're just gonna throw it up on the YouTube. Very thankful for everybody that participates, watches my stuff, and subscribes to the channel. So we're gonna go to the post game notes, and we'll give the full video to the YouTube channel this time. So again, what we do is, and you can see all these are here for download. There's a ton of other things in here if you guys want to look at becoming a member. But we had 6 teams on bye, so a little bit weirdness. A lighter schedule for this past Sunday, but we got the Browns, the Steelers, the snow game, Thursday night football. We got all the snaps and routes listed here, and then all the stats with the PPR column accumulating everything. So nothing too crazy for the Cleveland Browns. We did see Cedric Tillman get hurt in this one. I think he had a concussion. I don't know if he's going to play this coming in week 13, but only 58 snaps for the Browns. Tillman had 31. Jerry Jeudy and Elijah Moore were the top 2 wide receivers, and they mixed in Jamari Thrash. They did a lot of 2 tight end stuff in this game, which is with the weather and losing Tillman, it pushed them to a little bit more of that. But Jerry Jeudy looks fantastic. He's the clear wide receiver 1 here. If Tillman misses time, I think Elijah Moore is someone that we want to pick up. If Tillman plays, he steps back into that number 2 role. But it's a clear top 3 at the receiver position. David Njoku continues to run all the routes, play all the snap. Him and Jameis Winston are the only 2 to play every snap and route skill sets. Even though Njoku didn't have a big game, I like seeing the usage there. And then Jordan Akins did get a lot of usage as the tight end too. Running backs, we saw Nick Chubb lead the way with 38 snaps. Jerome Ford get 21. Only 2 running backs played in this game, with Chubb and Ford taking all the snaps and routes. Chubb did run 10 routes. Jerome Ford 14, only 1 catch for each, 20 carries for Chubb, and 4 here for Jerome Ford. I still think Jerome Ford should be picked up in full PPR leagues. He's kind of that change of pace back, should get a lot of receiving work and routes going forward. And then Winston played well. He had the 1 turnover, but he ran in a touchdown. If he's your QB2 for Superflex, you probably felt pretty good. So nothing too crazy to learn from the Cleveland Browns. The Steelers, on the other hand, seeing George Pickens remain to be the only receiver running pretty much every snap and routes. He did run every snap. I missed the route number here for Russell Wilson, but either way, George Pickens is a baller. I have him ranked probably as a top 12 wide receiver rest of season. You have to keep an eye here on Calvin Austin, who's been starting to triculate up his numbers the last few weeks. He was number 2 in terms of snaps and routes by a good margin here, doubling up Mike Williams, who was 3rd. 3 catches, 3 targets, 78 yards, and a touchdown for Calvin Austin. Someone to maybe monitor on the waiver wire. Pat Freiermuth, he shares the tight end spot with 4 dudes total. 3 guys are getting 32, 38, and 44 snaps. That's a lot of tight end snaps here. So they do a lot of 2 tight end stuff. And then Pat Freiermuth, 29 routes compared to 15 for Darnell Washington, 4 for 59. So a solid number there, 9.9 points. And then Darnell Washington's been kind of taking some off the top. So I don't love starting Pat Freiermuth just because they run so many tight ends, and they're really not a huge part of the offense. In this game, they were heavily utilized, though, in terms of numbers. Jaylen Warren led the way in this one, 39 snaps to Najee Harris's 27. We saw 3 for 19 through the air for Jaylen Warren, 2 for 13 for Najee Harris. Harris still led the way with 16 carries just for 41 yards. Jaylen Warren, 11 for 45, and he finally gets a touchdown. So Jaylen Warren's best fantasy game of the year. I think rest of season, these 2 guys are going to be kind of going back and forth. So I think Jaylen Warren's fully back as a running back 2 for PPR leagues. Najee Harris is still a low-end PPR. He just needs that touchdown to really hit double digits going forward. Cordero Patterson, not really a thought. Russell Wilson, we like the matchup here, but just, again, the snow game, 270 yards and a touchdown. You get 15 points, you'll take that. So nothing too crazy to learn here from the Steelers. You got Jaylen Warren starting to look good. You're still using Najee. You're starting George Pickens, and then maybe Russell Wilson in some deeper QB leagues. Chiefs 30, Panthers 27. The Panthers look good. I'm going to start with them. Jalen Coker was a healthy scratch in this one, inactive. So that allowed David Moore, Xavier Legette, and Adam Thielen to be the primary receivers. And the top 2 guys, Moore and Legette, these guys ran pretty much every snap. They ran nearly every route. David Moore, 6 for 81 and a touchdown on 10 targets. He's the guy to look at in the waivers. If you do have the opportunity to add Xavier Legette, I want Legette on my teams. 4 for 56, 6 targets. He continues to look good as a rookie here. Adam Thielen, first game back, 3 for 57. He made some big plays at the end of the game here. I expect him to maybe get more ramped up as we go along. No other receivers to note. Ja'Tavion Sanders, man, that neck injury, he landed hard on that neck. And I don't know if we're going to see him anytime soon, but he had been playing really well the last month and a half, 2 months or so with Bryce Young, but we're not interested in Tommy Tremble or Felipe Franks. Chuba Hubbard continues to dominate the backfield here. 55 snaps, Jonathan Brooks only 5 snaps. Chuba runs 31 routes out of 40, gets a target or gets a catch on 5 targets, and then still dominates the carry, 16 for 58 and a touchdown. We're probably not starting Jonathan Brooks. I mean, the Panthers pretty much told us what they think of this situation when they gave Chuba a bag of money a few weeks back. So continue starting Chuba as your RB2. Jonathan Brooks you could cut him. He's just a handcuff at this point. Dynasty leagues hold on to him for sure, but he could be dropped if you need to make room. And then Bryce Young, and he's looking better. 21 of 35 passing, 263 yards, touchdown, adding some 20 yards here on the ground. He looked good against the Chiefs. Great, but he looked good against a good opponent. So I'm hopeful for the Panthers going forward that they're going to continue to play well. The Chiefs, we got a huge receiver rotation, 4 guys getting more than 21 routes. That's Watson with 31, Worthy with 34, Juju with 25, and DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins at 21, so he played not the most snaps, 33 snaps out of 74 snaps, 21 of 47 routes. He did get 5 for 35 and a touchdown on 6 targets. So the usage when he's out there is great, but I don't like the snaps and the route percentages, man. So if you still have a trade deadline open, I might look into trading away DeAndre Hopkins as they're getting Worthy more involved. They're going to have Pacheco more involved. And then Kelsey here, he continues to play a lot, 6 for 62 on 8 targets, but Noah Gray starting to make a name for himself here. 4 for 66 and 2 receiving touchdowns. Kareem Hunt led the way here for the running backs, just dominated the carries. Got a few targets in here. This might be his last week as being the bell cow back. I still like Kareem Hunt next week when they're playing the Raiders, just with Pacheco's first game back. I'm expecting Carson Steele to drop out of this role completely. And then Piron's role is going to get reduced quite a bit here too. So I'm expecting Hunt, Piron, and Pacheco to be out there together. And Pat Mahomes, vintage Pat Mahomes game, 60 yards rushing, 270 yards, 3 touchdowns. Pretty good game from the Chiefs. Alrighty, Vikings Bears 27. I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit. We didn't learn anything from the Vikings in this one. And again, if you guys want to go check out the fantasyfellowship.com, you guys can become a member there. It's only $8 a month, or otherwise there's a $5 2-week trial. Check it out. You guys can go and download all these numbers and things for yourself. But for the rest of the video, I'm just going to kind of talk about what I'm going to look at the stuff here and just kind of point out what's changing or what do we need to take note of here. JJ, bad game here, but Addison, great game. Jalen Nailor is the clear number 3 receiver here. So if anything happens to JJ or Addison, Nailor's the guy you want. We finally got the TJ Hawkinson game here. Oliver, the other tight end here, was out, and it led to Hawkinson's season high in snaps, routes, production. It looked really good for TJ Hawkinson. So he's back. Aaron Jones played a lot. And then Cam Akers here. I mean, he's fully hopped Ty Chandler. This has been 3 weeks in a row. Ty Chandler not even getting a snap or a touch. So Ty Chandler should be cut. Sam Darnold looking good. He's kind of dinged up every now and then, but he continues to look good. I think the Vikings are playing well. So just note Cam Akers and Jalen Nailor are the primary backups there. With the Chicago Bears, nothing really new to change here. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, they all look good. I actually have to reverse this here because Keenan Allen caught 9 for 15, not 15 for 9. So I'll reverse that in there. Good game from Caleb Williams, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, 33 yards on the ground. DeAndre Swift couldn't get going, 13 carries for 30 yards. That's expected against the Vikings. And then I don't know why they didn't give Roshan more carries. Only 2 carries in this one after he got, I think, 10 last week. That was a little bit strange to me. I know they kind of abandoned the run, just being down. But I wanted to see Roshan get more opportunities. So hold on to Roshan. Cole Kmet can be streamed against the Lions here. The Bears showing some fight. They look good against the Packers, and they continue to look good, at least for fantasy here, and no real changes to note for the Bears. The Tennessee Titans, Tony Pollard's the man when Tajay Spears is out. Will Levis looking good from fantasy perspective here. 2 touchdowns, 2 long touchdowns here. Nick Westbrook Akine can be added in deeper leagues here. He's not someone I super trust, but he makes touchdowns. He makes big plays happen. I think he's got like 6 touchdowns in the last 7 or 8 games, and he's playing well. Calvin Ridley, just another good game, 5 for 93 on 6 targets. And Tyler Boyd here, finally a game where, over double digits for fantasy, 6 for 52. Don't really want to rely on the Titans, man. You can start your Tony Pollard. You can start your Calvin Ridley. Nick Westbrook is a deep wide receiver 3 flex. I'm not starting a tight end. Will Levis is super flex only. CJ Stroud and the Texans struggled in this one, but it's good to see Tank and Nico both come through healthy and play a lot of this game. Nico picked up where he left off before injury, 5 for 92 and a touchdown. And I'm hoping this helps open up Tank a little bit. 3 for 72. Maybe we get Dell some big games soon. But Mechie, Woods, Hutchinson, don't want those guys on my team. Dalton Schultz, I don't care about the tight end. I do think for Dynasty, though, if Cade Stover's out there, we might see the Cade Stover take over next year. And Stover, he could be like in the mold of like a Jake Ferguson type tight end that is not super amazing, but he's showing signs that he could be a nice tight end here for CJ Stroud. And then Joe Mixon dominated it, 14 for 22, though. Not great. 5 for 23 as a receiver got you at least to 9.5 points. And then Ogunbowale didn't get a single touch or a target in this one. Stroud struggled, 20 of 33, a couple really bad interceptions, untimely. Nothing new here with the Texans. I think you're only starting Mixon and Collins. Dell is more of a flex, and CJ Stroud's not a QB1 right now. The Lions, nothing new to learn here. Tim Patrick did look good, though. 4 for 55. He's the clear number 3 in this offense. So if you need somebody in a deeper league, I guess that's fine. Sam Laporta's back to being full health here. Not a great game, 3 for 19. Jahmyr Gibbs took over after David Montgomery got hurt. So that's the major thing with the Lions is we're watching David Montgomery to see if he can go for Thanksgiving. He was looking good before the injury. He was looking good as a receiver before the injury. But if Montgomery can't go, Craig Reynolds would be the guy that I expect to be the Monty replacement. Colts, Josh Downs got hurt in this one. I don't know if he's going to be okay for week 13. You have to watch for that. Jonathan Taylor, I love it. He ran all the routes, but no targets, 11 for 35 as a rusher, just nothing here from the Colts. Michael Pittman Jr. looked good, 6 for 96. Again, Josh Downs, not sure if he's on track to play week 13, but Pittman steps up. If Downs is out, I like Pittman as my wide receiver 3. You can maybe throw in Pierce. I hope Adonai Mitchell gets more work if Downs is out. So we're going to have to watch the receiver rotation here for the Colts. I don't care about the tight ends for Indianapolis. And then, whatever from Anthony Richardson. I think he did lose a fumble. I'll have to double check that. But Richardson's numbers were fine at the end of the day, just no touchdowns. Dolphins 34, Patriots 15. Finally get a Jalen Waddle day. But overall, nothing new from the Dolphins. It's Waddle, Tyreek running all the numbers. It's Jonnu Smith being a boss. He's really turning it up right now. 9 for 87 and a touchdown, 11 targets for Jonnu Smith. He's one priority waiver wire tight ends if you need somebody. And then Devon Achane continues to look really good. It looks like I missed some numbers here on Achane too. So my apologies here. I believe he had a rushing touchdown in there, if I recall. But I like what Achane's doing right now. Raheem Mostert got more snaps and routes, but just no production. I don't know if I want Mostert on my teams going into the fantasy playoffs here. Even if Achane gets hurt, what's the value of Mostert? I'm not quite sure. And then Jalen Wright here, 7 for 28. He looks good as a runner. He did lose a fumble though. And then Tua's playing good ball, man. People were kind of clowning him earlier in the year for that concussion stuff, but he's looking like really, really strong. 317 and 4 touchdowns. Nothing really new with the Dolphins. Nothing new with the Patriots. I mean, they're still running Booty, Douglas, Bourne as their top 3 receivers. Henry looks good as the tight end, but Hooper plays a lot. He had a nice game here. And then I don't know what's going on with the running backs. Gibson and Stevenson basically split this 50-50. Ramondre got 8 carries. Gibson got 6 carries. Both got 2 targets. I don't really want to play Ramondre Stevenson in my fantasy lineups going forward. This is what the outlook's going to be. And then Gibson could be added in deeper league. And then Drake May struggled in this one, a couple turnovers, but he's still slinging it. He's still a low-end QB2 for Superflex. Tampa Bay at Giants. What do we learn here? You could probably let go of Jalen McMillan. I don't know if I see him ever being a consistent fantasy start. Holden Dynasty, you're starting Mike Evans. Maybe take a peek at Sterling Shepard. Cade Otton, again, these guys, they just didn't really have to open it up. Baker did have some big plays here, 24 for 30, 294 passing yards, but no touchdowns. And then Baker, Sean Tucker, Rashad White, Bucky Irving, everybody ran for a touchdown here against the Giants. So start your running backs against the Giants. Rico Dowdle, I'm talking to you next week here. Bucky Irving is a really good player. It looks like he's hopping Rashad White for the future here. Giants, I don't even want to talk about the Giants. Tommy DeVito, I mean, this offense really stunk in the first half. Like Tampa Bay really put the clamps on them. They opened it up in the second half and got more passing numbers and got a little bit loose. They did Devin Singletary plunge. But I'm kind of concerned here if I have Malik Neighbors that, I got a wide receiver 3 flex. Wan'Dale Robinson maybe is a deep wide receiver 3 flex. I do want to know Theo Johnson looks good for dynasty formats. And then, frustrating. Tyrone Tracy pulled away from Singletary a few weeks back, and now Singletary is back in there and getting a lot of snaps and routes here from Tracy. So I don't know if we have a full blown on Tyrone Tracy RB1 outlook like we had a couple weeks back. Singletary, they still like him and he's playing well. And we do need to see Drew Lock soon. So if you guys are in Superflex, add Drew Lock. Cowboys, nothing new to learn here. Tolbert, CeeDee Lamb, those guys are going to run all the routes. We'll see what happens when Brandon Cooks back, but I don't even want to add Brandon Cooks. Mingo did run 8 routes in this one, 1 for 8 as a receiver. Luke Schoonmaker, we know that when Jake Ferguson is out, Schoonmaker has had something like 9 catches and 15 targets for almost 120 yards in a touchdown in the last 2 games here. So Schoonmaker looks like a dynasty, maybe a pickup here if Ferguson's out any longer. And then Rico Dowdle did lose a fumble, but 19 carries for 86 yards, 3 for 12 as a receiver. Looks like Rico is back to being entrenched as the RB1 here. Elliott and Lupke just there for backups. And Cooper Rush, man, really solid game, clean game. Cooper Rush, you can use him as your QB2 for Superflex this Thanksgiving. Commanders, not much to learn here from the receiving core. Like McLaurin, you're starting. Noah Brown's been that bench flex option, and Zach Ertz continues to play well. But the running backs, we had Brian Robinson get injured. Don't know the severity of it. I think you could pick up Jeremy McNichols this week, because Austin Eckler also left with concussion on that last kick return. So monitor this backfield here. I'm leaning towards Jeremy McNichols being a good play for Week 13. Broncos Raiders. Just another week of Sean Payton pissing me off and not being trustworthy with his running backs. It just sucks because the Broncos have they have a fun team. Bo Nix is scoring a ton of fantasy points, but it's literally only Cortland Sutton that we can use. It's Sutton, Nix. You could maybe make a case for Devon Vele here, who's starting to emerge as their number 2 receiver. He runs the second most snaps and routes. He's up there in targets, yards, receptions, all that for the team. He should be added in deeper leagues, but Humphrey, Franklin, Mims, I don't care about the tight ends. Honestly, I don't want to mess with the Broncos running backs anymore. If I have Javonte Williams, Julian McLaughlin, Audric Estime, good luck. Javonte leads the team with 8 carries for -2 yards. Julian McLaughlin gets 7 for 44. Estime gets 3 for 15. I don't want to mess with this Broncos running back field. So try and trade them if you can. I don't want to start any of them. I want to hold them until we get some clarity. The Raiders, no Zamir White, no Alexander Madison. It was the Amir Abdullah show. Only 8 for 28 as a rusher, but he did tack on 5 for 37 and a touchdown as a receiver. Sincere McCormick was there as the secondary ball carrier. Quiet game for Brock Bowers, even though his usage is still elite. And then it was the Jacoby Myers game, 10 from 121. Trey Tucker maybe in deep formats here. But the main thing, Gardner Minshew's season is over. We're going to be looking at either Desmond Ridder or Aiden O'Connell starting against the Chiefs next weekend. So it doesn't look good for the Raiders. They're on to their 3rd quarterback of the season. Well, I guess maybe going back to AOC, but Ridder could start here. It's frustrating for the Raiders. Packers 38, 49ers 10. Not much to learn here from the Packers besides Josh Jacobs, man. He is the offense. Jordan Love just needs to play complimentary football and not turn the ball over, and that's kind of the Packers' recipe going forward. We do have a Romeo Doubs concussion injury to monitor. If Doubs is out, I think Watson and Wicks are both kind of flexes. I'll move Jaden Reed as a wide receiver 3. They play on Thanksgiving night, so I'm expecting Doubs to not play. Tucker Kraft finally found the end zone, for the last maybe a good month since we've seen him in the end zone. He's a boom bust tight end touchdown. If he gets a tight end, you had a good week. If he doesn't get you a tight end, you get 2 points. But Josh Jacobs stole the show in this one. Packers did what they wanted, ran the ball down their throats. Emmanuel Wilson and Chris Brooks continued to split RB2 duties. I'm just going to throw this whole game for the 49ers out the window. You know, hopefully Brock Purdy's back next week. Jordan Mason is the handcuff here, but you know, you can cut Ricky Pearsall in redraft. I don't know if he's going to be consistent for us week to week. Seahawks 16, Cardinals 6. This was a weird kind of rainy game, low-scoring game. Geno Smith used to play well as a strong QB2 for Superflex leagues. Kenneth Walker has an amazing workload. Even when he doesn't score a touchdown, he still gets, 13 points. So that's something that he hadn't been able to do for most of his career. But now he's locked into a receiving role, and the rushing role is his. I like Kenneth Walker. Don't really care about the tight end anymore. Noah Fant's out. A.J. Barner just can't get there. He's running all the routes, just not getting a ton of targets and opportunity. And then it's the DK JSN show. Like, start those two guys. Lockett should be dumped in redraft. And then Arizona, my goodness, Trey McBride, 12 for 133. James Conner bottled up 7 for 8 as a runner, 5 for 41 as a receiver. I do like Trey Benson, who continues to look good when he gets the ball running. But Murray struggled in this one. He could really only hit Trey McBride in the middle of the field and dump offs. They're just not using Marvin Harrison, I think, effectively enough to get him open quick enough for Kyler Murray. Michael Wilson, 2 for 54. Marvin, 3 for 47. There's just no real threat on the boundary for this team. All the offense is funneling to McBride and Connor. Ugly game here for the Cardinals. I'm still starting Marvin, McBride, Connor, and Murray, but we're a little bit sour on it. Eagles, Rams. Saquon Barkley. Like, there's nothing new to learn here. This is the Saquon Barkley show. You're starting Barkley, AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts. And then we'll see when Devontae Smith comes back. I also think Dallas Goedert's a fringe tight end 1 flex kind of option going forward. But Jahan Dotson's not working out. Johnny Wilson, keep an eye on his name. It's just the Saquon Barkley show, man. Unbelievable amount of fantasy points there. And I suck. I missed some stats. Did he get 2 touchdowns? Just insane game from Saquon. And then did the Rams really need to get that last garbage time touchdown? I don't know. They're down 37-14. Just felt a little shitty, but either way, this team is still for Kupp, Nakua, Kieran Williams. Don't really want to start. Even though Demarcus Robinson caught a touchdown, he's not a very good start. And then, yeah, I messed up my sheet pretty good today. So I'm going to have to update all that stuff for you guys. But that's it. That's the video. I post these every week. So if you guys want to check out thefantasyfellowship.com, that's where I have all this information. Again, it's $8 a month. Or if you guys want to do the 2-week trial, check it out for $5. But there's weekly rankings. There's dynasty rankings. A ton of things on there for you guys to try and look at. But that's going to do it for me. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the Monday Night Football game. We'll see you guys tomorrow night, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time. 7 p.m. Central Time for the Waiver Wire Show. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Got me feeling icy.